Two Rivers Housing is active in Gloucestershire and Herefordshire, and in partnership with Gloucester City Council, we worked on a really exciting scheme in the centre of Gloucester to redevelop an old brownfield site. Very poor quality environment around the site, and we were able to work with them and the contractor, Aqua Construction, to develop a scheme of 14 new apartments for affordable rented housing. The project itself was particularly innovative because it included ground source heat pumps, and with ice energy we were able to incorporate those into the development, and therefore offer a number of significant benefits to the residents of the accommodation. At the end of the construction, we were asked to enter the Gloucester Civic Awards, which is sponsored by the local newspaper and the City Council. And there was quite heavy competition in the sustainable buildings category, which this was entered into. And we were absolutely delighted that the scheme won that award. In second place of interest was the local Sainsbury's store, and they prided themselves on building a very sustainable and attractive development, which it was, but we actually beat them into second place as part of that process, which made it all the more satisfying, I think, for the company and for the City Council we work with. I think as a housing association, we're very concerned about the impact of increasing energy prices for our residents. We read with some concern the Ofgem report earlier this year, which talked about increases of up to 25% in the energy costs for the typical property. They talked about an average of around £2,000 per property that could be likely by 2020. So clearly this gives us some concern in terms of our residents being able to afford to live comfortably within their homes. And so part of our strategy is to research the different options that are available for us to improve our existing stock, but also to build homes to the very highest standards. So we've undertaken a 2-year research project with the University of West of England, and we employed a research associate, James Ford, who has been helping us to evaluate the optimum solution for us in trying to meet the challenge of fuel poverty over the coming years. I think in this environment of financial austerity and the challenge for the incomes of some of our residents, it's even more important that we look to improve our homes and to provide energy efficient solutions for them in the future. I think this fits into probably two main categories. I think the first thing is that tenants have a far more comfortable environment to live in, and this is clearly very important, again particularly for vulnerable people, but also for the general tenants as well. The second issue is going to be their costs in use of the property. And what we're seeing is we're monitoring this, and we've been monitoring this over the last 5 months, and we're seeing some significant differences in terms of a comparison between this and an existing property. But it's too early to give the whole year figures, but what we can say confidently at this point is that the savings are going to be over 50% better than an equivalent existing property, and that is a major saving for our tenants in terms of their weekly outgoings.
Well, I think our objectives as a housing association are focused around the goals of the Climate Change Act. So for us, we're looking at a 29% reduction in carbon emissions by 2020. In order to do so, to move on from where we are at the moment, we're obviously going to have to look at a different strategy around heating as to what we've got at the moment. And part of that, a massive impact of that, before we even look at heating, is insulating our properties. In the case of ourselves and many other housing associations, that's already been done to a large extent. So our next step really is to look at what the next heating source is, other than gas and other than traditional solid fuels to heat our homes. And from what we've seen and the studies that we've done, heat pumps are a very good way of reducing our carbon footprint across the whole of the stock. What we usually do in terms of accessing grants for new buildings is that we apply through the BRE's Low Carbon Buildings Programme, and that's up to 50% of grant for renewable technologies on new buildings. Now usually the process is with new builds that we do it in-house ourselves, and that can be quite time consuming as we've got to get quite a bit of information through, we've got to get quotes through in the first instance, and then commissioning certificates and receipted invoices from the contractor as well. From the ones that we've done, and I've been involved in about 5 myself, and we've still got 3 outstanding. So the fact that when we worked with Vice Energy in partnership, we got it through on time, that was brilliant news for us. I found it refreshing that there's been a very good spirit of partnership between Ice Energy and Two Rivers Housing. It's been very easy to contact people at Ice Energy and they've been very helpful. And in terms of all of our events that we've held, before we've even started sort of pre-planning, pre-site commencement, all the way through to the events after the site's actually been opened and tenants have moved in, they've been involved through the whole process. Well, I think in terms of long term, as I mentioned before, we've got these climate change targets. So our 2050 target is to reduce emissions by 80%. Now, with the heating systems that we've got at the moment and the stock that we've got at the moment, we know that it wouldn't be possible unless we implemented some kind of change around heating. In terms of the short term, we're heavily reliant also on grid electricity and national gas as well. So there is this the thought around fuel security that we need to explore further microgeneration activities. I think from the knowledge that we've gained through the research, we're now looking to implement a strategy of both micro renewables, so in order for us to take away our dependence on the grid, and also we feel that we need to push further in terms of innovation in the new build sector, because it's important to use that information to bring it back to our existing stock. So we're looking to build some Code 6 houses to showcase all of our learning so far and look for the optimum solution.